How many of us have lost to an opponent that we shouldn't have lost to? That embarrassing loss that still haunts us. Has it happened to you? Because it's happened to me. In fact, when I was a junior player, I had a tendency as a perennial top 10, top 20 player to have the ability to really summon these amazing performances and beat people that I really probably shouldn't. And then I'd place somebody, outside of the top 30, and I would have these losses that would just destroy my confidence. And I really had a hard time, and it would stick with me. And this happened through my collegiate career and on, where you have enough of these losses to where you kind of feel susceptible. And it can happen in any sport. In fact, I was watching my beloved Boston Celtics last night, and they're absolutely loaded, right? They're a phenomenal team this year, and they're playing the Lakers, and LeBron James and Anthony Davis were on the bench. And the role players and the C team and D team ended up beating the Celtics by like 15. Why? Why does this happen across all sports? Well, there are several reasons, and knowing why it happens is empowering so you know how to prevent it. So why do we get beat by weaker players? Number one is not being prepared. You go into the match thinking about what's going to happen in the round after. You're already looking past this person because you're so confident. And because of that, maybe you didn't get adequate sleep, you didn't eat right, maybe you skipped stretching, maybe you didn't warm up prior to the match. And then in the warm-up, a lot of times what happens is that we don't pick up the visual cues in the warm-up, right? Like maybe you know the person, or maybe you don't. You've just seen where they're ranked, or you've heard hearsay that's the absolute worst. But you go in, you're like, yeah, she's kind of weak. They're not hitting the ball very big. And you just kind of go about the motions without actually becoming informed. This doesn't happen when you play someone that is either your level or above your level, because you're tuning in. You know it's going to be a dogfight, and you're looking for all the details. Hey, how are they looking off the back end? How are they adjusting the slice? Are they moving well today? You're getting that feedback because you go in knowing that you're going to need an A game. And I think a lot of times when we lose to the weaker player, someone that is not at our ability, we underestimate them, right? We underestimate them and think that we're going to win regardless of what we do. All right, number two is simple. The pressure is on you, and all it takes is a little bit of scoreboard pressure. Maybe it's 2-all, and you're like, oh, what is Scott going to think that I let this guy get 2 games? Or maybe it's even further than that, and they suddenly have a lead. They're up 4-1. And we go to external factors. We start thinking about what Bobby and Jimmy are going to think about me losing this match. What if I lose? What if it's really close and everyone thinks that I'm sliding? You can imagine all the different scenarios that go through your head. This is really dangerous territory when you start projecting and you start worrying about external factors, because that is the quickest way to start playing not to lose. And that brings us up to the third thing that happens, is that we start playing not to lose, so we start working through a C game. And what ends up happening is we kind of go through this thought pattern to where, okay, I just don't want to miss. I can outsteady this guy, this woman. If I just keep the ball in. And that's a trap that we fall into, because what ends up happening is that while we have all the pressure, the weaker player, the apparent weaker player, has no pressure. So they start being more aggressive and they start connecting with the ball, right? And it's not, you can't go in playing not to lose and thinking a C game is going to get it done. So in summation, the deck is stacked against you, right? Like, you're playing someone that is playing with nothing to lose, and if you don't prepare, you're allowing that pressure to build on you, where you have something that you can lose, right? I mean, that's exactly what happened with the Celtics that I referenced. They see the 2 superstars for the Lakers are sitting, and they're like, we got this. And then the role players show up and shoot the lights out of the ball, and they don't recover. They can't find their game. So make sure that you're preparing. So let's talk about how this never happens again, right? We can't guarantee that, because it's still going to happen. And a lot of times, let's give credit to our opponent. If our opponent rises to the occasion, like, it can't, let's be honest, in tennis, as long as we're operating within close levels, maybe like within a 0.5 in either direction, anyone can really win, depending on the day. If they have their best day, you have your worst day. Sure, that can happen, but we're talking about these egregious losses to where it's like you just had no business ever losing the match. So let's talk about how we keep that from ever happening. All right, number one, as soon as you get on the court, make sure you diagnose what's happening on the warm-up. All right, get in there, make sure you know what the weakness is, and look to exploit it. And then number 2 is get your feet moving early. You want to be physically imposing, right? You want to be super, super active. You want to play defense. Make sure you're running for every ball. Don't just think that it's going to come along, that you can conserve energy. Get the feet moving early, because remember, when you get nervous, you get tight, the feet are the first to go. The hands are going to tighten up and the feet are going to stop moving. And then third, play with controlled aggression. You don't have to hit lines. You don't have to hit outright winners. Just tell yourself, I'm going to send every ball directly where it came from. Somebody hits cross court, you go cross court. They go down the line, you go down the line. Or you just go, I'm going to play every ball cross court. But when you're doing it, hit out. At least 75, 80%, hit out, play with that controlled aggression, because that's typically what is going to win. You got to remember, like, if a heavyweight is playing a featherweight, at the end of the day, it's the jab that is really getting it done and breaking the opponent down. You don't have to hit a knockout. You don't have to throw knockout haymakers every single time. Next is all about sticking with the winning pattern. I'm guilty of this. I've done it. I have been up, 4-1, 4-2, kind of like, I've got this. How about some drop shots? You start playing with different shots or whatever, and you start losing your rhythm, and then when the other player brings the score close, you get that scoreboard pressure, and then your go-to inside-out forehand is mush. It's just not there. Whatever is working, continue to work on it. If it's exploiting someone's backhand or exploiting their net play, keep doing it. Keep pouring it over and over again. But don't ever, this doesn't matter who you play, don't ever change a winning strategy. All right, and the next piece is you play with blinders on. Pretend you're in the cage. You don't see UFC fighters looking around, or boxers. You don't see them looking around to see who's watching, because the lack of focus will get them hurt. That'll get them knocked out. Put the blinders on, pretend you're in the cage, and only focus on who you're playing. And the last tip, smile, right? The easiest way to knock out nerves is to smile and laugh. If you feel like it's creeping in and you're getting super tight, try to relax, try to smile, think about things that make you happy, whether it be your husband, your wife, maybe it's your puppy dog, but try to smile. All right, so put these things together, put together an action plan so that when you play the weaker player, you're prepared, and then you won't have these losses that haunt you. I hope today's instruction helped a ton. If you have any questions or any feedback, leave it in the comment section. I'm always happy to get in there and correspond with you guys. And tell me about some of the experiences you've had. I mean, we've all been there. We know it's not if, it's when we're going to have one of these losses, and it's just about getting to the next opponent and being properly prepared. Consistency and preparation is what results into long-term winning. All right, so guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.